The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes, on demand on YouTube. What else are we? Oh yeah, we're also syndicated by CRN Digital Talk Radio coast to coast across the United States of America into 12 million households. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten, and I welcome you to the show today. We're talking about Fidel Castro, who announced that he is resigning. Yesterday, he announced he is resigning after a very short time in office. The longest reigning leader of any country in history, I think. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sure our guests will correct me. He's 81 years old. He's been in poor health. He underwent stomach surgery about 19 months ago. His 76-year-old kid brother, Raul Castro, who is the defense minister, is his likely successor. He's basically been running the nation since emergency powers in July 2006. Whether he's going to propose any major changes, who knows? They came up in the revolution together. And although today I'm seeing on CNN that Castro is hinting at a more democratic Cuba. Well, we have two guests here to talk to us about the situation in Cuba and to help us sort this out. And we really invite your questions and your points of view, dear audience. Claire Rodriguez is my first guest. She works for the Latin America Working Group, where she focuses on Cuba, and she understands how U.S. Foreign policy impacts Cuba very well. And will talk to us about the possible changes there. Claire Rodriguez, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Great, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
We're most happy to have you here. So I'm looking at two dispatches, one from CNN that says younger Castro hints at a more democratic Cuba, another one from another news agency which is headlined, Castro quits but his policies remain. Clearly, we have not seen, from the outside looking in, any substantive changes since Raul, who many people view as ruthless as his brother, or even more so, assumed the day-to-day control of Cuba. What's going on there, and what can we expect now that the old man has finally stepped down officially?
Well, that announcement came yesterday, and quite frankly, for a lot of people, it was a big surprise. There had been a lot of speculation on the part of Cuba policy experts that the elections coming up on the 24th at the National Assembly may not select Fidel Castro to be the leader, but it wasn't clear that that was going to happen. So him stepping down kind of preempted the National Assembly's selection of the Council of State and the next president of Cuba. In terms of what Raul has done in the 19 months that he's been in office, I think you're right. There haven't been a lot of real concrete changes that have been put into effect. But what he has been doing is holding community-wide meetings of people, concerned citizens who are worried about financial concerns, food shortages, and sort of sent the word down that there will be changes coming in the future, which this represents a huge change from what we've seen in the past and from what we've seen from his brother Fidel. This is something that we would not have seen from Fidel Castro.
Well, the changes that are necessary to spur economic growth in Cuba would require, I would presume, a lifting of the embargo from the United States of America, which some suggest, despite the repressive policies of Fidel Castro, are way over the top and way too long lasting at this point. And there are many who argue, and this is obviously a debate both inside and outside the expatriated Cuban community, over whether we would have greater positive influence on events in Cuba were there to be a lifting of the embargo, were there to be a cultural and economic exchange. Do you believe that there's a possibility that there may be some kind of hands stretched across the 90 miles between Cuba and the southern Florida and some kind of lifting of those embargoes?
Well, if you look at what the State Department and the Treasury Department and President Bush have said over the past 2 days, no. They have all stuck very firmly to the line that the United States is going to not change any policies, whether it's with regards to the embargo or the travel ban that we have there, unless Cuba itself starts making gradual changes towards democracy. So I think in the short term, we probably won't see any of the changes like you're talking about. But we are in the middle of an election heading into what could be a new and democratic administration next year. And I think if that happens, there will be some possibilities and some openings for travel and trade with the island. Although, again, I think it'll probably be very very gradual, and we'll see small liftings of particular pieces of the travel ban. So you may have, for example, a restoration of the right of Cuban Americans to travel to the island. You may have the restoration of cultural exchange, humanitarian travel, things that have been really cut over the past 4 years.
Callie is suggesting in text that Bush will remain firm, but Bush is not going to be in office very much longer, and of course McCain might continue that strong policy toward Cuba. I don't know if he's spoken about it yet, but Obama or Hillary Clinton might amend things a little bit, although nothing was relaxed when Hillary's husband was president of the United States. But again, it's not unconditional what the president said, as I understand it, and as you have just reported it. If there are steps towards some kind of democratization of Cuba, the United States might ease things a little bit. And so I guess the question remains, would Raul really move in that direction as he suggests that he might?
I mean, I think that is a good question, but I think we have to realize that the United States and Cuba are kind of very much at odds with each other, and I don't think that the Cuban government is going to say, well, because the U.S. government has said they'll relax things with regards to the embargo and the travel ban, that we ourselves are going to relax things on the island. I don't think that you'll have that case. There's just too many years of tension and animosity between the islands to see that kind of back and forth happening.
Well, clearly it will, under Raul, I presume, remain a communist regime, and clearly under Raul it will, I presume, have the backing, this new administration, of the military, as Fidel has had for the past 50 years.
Yes, I think that's very true.
So what about the human rights violations? When I was down in Little Havana in Miami covering the Elian Gonzalez saga, regardless of what you feel about whether Elian Gonzalez should have been kept in the United States or reunited with his father in Cuba, the issue was clearly raised. The opportunity was there because the world's cameras and microphones were on them to raise the issue of the human rights violations, which goes quite underreported in my